Diagnose, Cure and Empower Yourself by Currents of Breath. Author, Pandit Shriram Sharma Acharya. English translation by Dr. Rajani Joshi. Published by Shri Vedmata Gayatri Trust, Shantikunj, Haridwar, India. Contents. 1. The Deep Science of Swar Yoga, Introduction. 2. Swar Yoga and Flow of Vital Energy. 3. Some scriptural guidelines on auspicious use of Swar Yoga. 4. Harmonizing the Swaras. 5. Long and Vigorous Life by Swar Yoga. 6. Risks and Benefits of Deviations in Natural Swaras. 7. Swar Yoga for Desired Offspring. 8. Some Preventive and Therapeutic Tips derived from Swar Yoga. 9. Distant Healing using Swaras as Medicines. 10. Extrasensory Physics and the Science of Swaras. References. Glossary of Sanskrit Words.
Chapter 1. The Deep Science of Swar Yoga Introduction.
Swar Yoga refers to an independent and complete in itself branch of yoga. It deals with the physiological, psychological and spiritual aspects of the rhythmic notes of breathing and the associated flow of bioelectrical currents and prana, vital spiritual energy. The preeminent science, Swar Vigyan, of this powerful yoga was derived by the Vedic sages, whose enlightened acumen had a reach into the deepest depths of perceivable and sublime components of nature and the diverse forms of life manifested in it. Because of the ease of practicing it and the enormous benefits it provided, it used to be an integral part of the daily exercises of people in the ancient Indian society. Its popular applications included measuring the healthy state of the mind-body system from within and regulating the latter up to normal healthy levels, and guiding appropriate timings for initiation of important tasks to ensure auspicious effects and success. Because of its use in forecasting, Swar Vigyan is also a part of Vedic astrology. However, likewise the other pearls of the invaluable treasures of the Vedic knowledge and Rishi culture, this great science also got lost in the vicissitudinous tides of time. In the latter ages, the great sages and saints of the Rishi tradition, who had the knowledge of this ancient science, could not reach the masses. The figures among the ciphers in the ignorant masses who had partially or hazy knowledge gathered from their ancestors, exploited its predictive value for their vested interest and deformed this great faculty as they did with astrology. Today, people either confuse Swar Yoga as some branch of music, because the Sanskrit and Hindi word swar means a musical note, or those who know some yogic exercises and have heard little bit about it, misinterpret it as some kind of pranayam. As this also has a predictive component similar to astrology, it is often discarded as superstition or fake practice of exploiting the innocents in the name of foretelling or calculating an auspicious timing, muhurt, etc. This book is an effort to eliminate such confusions and misconceptions and elucidate the facts together with several important applications. It should be noted that the Swar Vigyan, the science of Swar, is a deep science of breathing, bioelectrical signals and geomagnetism. The apparently simple practices and applications of Swar Yoga are derived from the rare knowledge of how the cosmic magnetic forces and hence the positions of the planets, the biological clock, certain metabolic and physiological functions, and the mental state affect the breathing patterns. In the successive sections we highlight some of these aspects in a manner which is within the grasp of most readers. The principal focus here is the use of Swar Yoga in diagnosis and control of the ailments and disorders in mind-body functions that have direct correspondence with easily detectable breathing patterns. Some scriptural excerpts and guidelines on applications pertaining to foretelling or knowing the future possibilities of benefits and losses are also outlined in the later sections. These indicate that Swar Yoga can help in taking the best decision in terms of one's mind-body state in a given time. In no way it discourages or diverts one's creativity and assiduity. Moreover, the practices of this science could be verified by self-experiments without any constraints or risks and without the requirement of any external instrument or support.
Chapter 2, Swar Yoga and Flow of Vital Energy.
In the terminology of yoga, channels for consequent flow of vital energy within the body are called nadi. These include the neural passages and the tracks of flow and distribution of inhaled and exhaled breaths. The yoga scriptures describe the presence of 7,200 such nadis. The word nadi here should not be confused with the same used in Hindi for veins and arteries. Also, it should be understood that they are not any tubes of biochemical substance or any other material forms. They can't be touched upon or seen, but their presence can be experienced. For example, two of the principal nadis described below can be easily experienced by concentrating over the breaths. The roots of several important nadis are bundled in a spiral-shaped extrasensory nucleus beneath the navel. 10 principal nadis emanate from this center and spread across the body in different directions. These are referred in the yoga scriptures as Irha, Pingala, Sushumna, Gandhari, Hastazihva, Pasha, Yashaswini, Ambasha, Kuhu, and Shamkhini. These play crucial role in activation, transmission, effect and manifestation of the bioelectrical signals and endocrine secretions and interactive functions of the mind-body system. Ancient Indian science of yoga and sadhanas discusses a great deal of these aspects with deeper spiritual analysis. The first three of these are of great importance in swar yoga. In Hatha Yoga, The Muladhar Chakra, Kava Equina, is regarded as the extrasensory nucleus of the supernatural force of prana, called Kundalini. However, in swar yoga, the Nabhi Chakra, solar plexus, in the navel is given more importance, as the vital energy essential for the healthy functioning and vigor of the mind-body system is concentrated at this center and distributed to every corner of the body. It also happens to be the main junction of the interconnected paths of important nadis, which govern the functioning of the nervous system. These findings of the Vedic sages, rishis, are being reaffirmed by the modern researchers of yoga and the science of breathing. This is why the yoga exercises of pranayam predominantly include abdominal breathing or deep breathing up to the navel, along with the exercises where lungs are to be filled to the maximum capacity. An American expert, Professor B.B. Atkinson, has emphasized this fact in his popular book titled Size of Breath. According to him, breathing up to the lungs serves only the partial purpose of pulmonary circulation and cleansing of the respiratory units. The purified oxygen from the lungs should reach the navel, from where it could be supplied in the desired amounts to different parts of the body. Regulation of healthy supply of oxygen and vital energy and necessary cleansing and activation of the whole body therefore requires deep and consistent breathing from and up to the navel. In advanced practices of pranayam, the yogis aim at harmonious functioning of the 10 principal nadis, opening in the Nabhi Chakra. The Irha Nadi, lunar current, is associated with breathing through the left nostril, and the Pingala, solar current, with that through the right nostril. These also correspond to the sublime streams of powers in the pituitary and pineal glands. These are described in the yoga scriptures as the solar, Surya, and lunar, Chandra, currents of vital energy flowing respectively on the right and the left side of the Sushumna Nadi. The latter is an extrasensory canal of a neural passage of subliminal flow of prana hidden in the inner core of the spinal column. The remaining 7 nadis are passages for flow of vital energy and bioelectrical signals, located in the indicated parts of the body, namely, Gandhari in the tongue, Hastazihva in right eye, Pasha in right ear, Yashaswini in the left ear, Alambusha in the mouth, Kuhu in the genital region, and Shamkhini in the anus. It should be noted again that the nadis are not any kinds of veins or tubular ducts. These are like sublime channels or passages that cannot be observed by instruments but are visualized and experienced by deeper yoga practices and introvert meditation. Biological clock and the swar patterns. The lunar currents, Irha, manifested in the vibrations of breathing through the left nostril are referred as Chandra swar, and solar currents, Pingala, manifested in the vibrations of breathing through the right nostril are termed as Surya swar. In simple terms, when we breathe only through the left nostril, the Chandra swar is on, active. When we breathe only through the right nostril, the Surya swar is active. If we pay little attention to our breathing patterns, we will notice most of the time we breathe only through one nostril, either through the left or through the right. It is only at the time of changing of this flow from Irha, Chandra, to Pingala, Surya, that is left to right, or vice versa that both the swaras are active for few moments. This change occurs periodically in about 1 to 3 hours time on an average. The flow of vital energy and prana is active through the Sushumna Nadi at these moments. This transition takes place at characteristic timings, for example, exactly at the moments of sunset, which are of very significant importance in yoga and spiritual sadhanas. The movements of the sun and moon and their mutual interaction with the earth via planetary forces of attractions, cosmic radiation, electromagnetic waves, etc., continue without pause as per the universal laws of nature. So do the continuous swaras through Irha, Pingla, Sushumna throughout the life cycle. It is known to some extent to the researchers of the related areas of physics and physiology and psychology that the sunrise and sunset times, and also the positions of sun, moon and the other planets affect the geomagnetism and biomagnetism and hence the biological clock and various mind-body functions. The gigantic variations in the tides of a sea with the lunar calendar are well known to most of us. However, little or no knowledge do we have about the relationship of these with the swar patterns. In a healthy state of the body and mind, our swaras universally manifest the following patterns around the time of sunrise during a lunar month. Here, Chandra swar, respectively Surya swara, implies that one would breathe through the left, respectively right, nostril. Following are the swaras that are active on given lunar day. On lunar day 1, 2 and 3 during brighter half of the month, Chandra swar is active. Whereas day 1, 2 and 3 during darker half of the lunar month, Surya swar will be active. On lunar day 4, 5 and 6 during brighter half of the month, Surya swar is active. Whereas day 4, 5 and 6 during darker half of the lunar month, Chandra swar will be active. On lunar day 7, 8 and 9 during brighter half of the month, Chandra swar is active. Whereas day 7, 8 and 9 during darker half of the lunar month, Surya swar is active. On lunar day 10, 11 and 12 during brighter half of the month, Surya swar is active. Whereas day 10, 11 and 12 during darker half of the lunar month, Chandra swar is active. On lunar day 13, 14 and 15 during brighter half of the month, Chandra swar is active. Whereas day 13, 14 and 15 during darker half of the lunar month, it would be Surya swar that will be active. 15th day is popularly called the Purnima, that is full moon for the brighter half, and Amavasya, that is dark night or no moon for the darker half of the lunar month. It is amazing that this description cited in the ancient scriptures, namely, Swar Yoga, and Shiva Swarodaya, of the Vedic age is found perfect in the present times as well. So much so that it could be used as a measure of our health. If somebody's breathing pattern in the morning within few minutes after sunrise does not match with what is shown in this chart, it would be indicative of some disturbance in the normal healthy state of his or her body or mind. If the perturbation is random and continues for several days in succession, then there must be some ailment or disorder that could be significant. If it is not yet manifested, the person should have a precautionary medical checkup and should also take care of the stress or mental tension if any. We all can verify this fact by observing our own breathing pattern around the sunrise time on different days of the lunar month. Needless to say, we should get up before or at the time of sunrise to do this experiment and use the Indian calendar, Panchang, calculated on lunar cycle. It should be noted that the Panchangs based on solar calendar won't give the right information, viz., lunar day numbers, required for using the above chart. We all know that the rays of moon, called Chandra in Sanskrit, are cool and soothing, whereas those of the sun, called Surya in Sanskrit, are hot and energizing. As obvious by their names, the Chandra swar corresponds to a calm, stable and happy state of mind which is most suited for thorough and discreet thinking, balanced discussions and adept decision making, etc. The Surya swar occurs in the relatively excited, active, dynamic, agile state of mind. This is best for intrepid, courageous efforts and tasks requiring enthusiasm, force, aggressiveness and alacrity. Noting that proper initiation accounts for proper completion of the work at hand, wise people make sure that their body and mind, mood, are in an appropriate state to begin a job. Suppose, a student is compelled to study a difficult lesson when he is tired and feeling sleepy, then he would hardly learn anything. He would grasp the same lesson better if he reads it in a fresh mood the next morning after having a good sleep in the night. Devotional practices, meditation, contemplation, require peaceful, static state of mind. That is why one prefers a loneliness and silence for these purposes. On the contrary, noisy shouts of slogans of victory, high-pitched sounds of bugles and drums in specific tunes of march fast, aggressive and boosted state of mind is essential for a warrior who is departing to the battlefield. You can experiment on yourself to see that whenever you are in a good and calm mood and having positive thoughts, you must be breathing through the left nostril. Your furor, excitement or abrupt, untoward thinking would on the contrary, be accompanied by respiration through the right nostril alone. The yogis of Swar Vigyan therefore advise that one should check the pattern of his or her swar before commencing an important task. Decision making, planning for something that has long-term effects, far-sighted thinking, meticulous study of a subject, any kind of scholarly or creative action, etc. should begin when the Chandra swar is active. Important decision making, fixing of a marriage, rituals of marriage, investment, charity, digging a well, drawing an architecture of a building, planning or starting journey, prescribing a medicine, selecting a career, buying or ordering a jewelry, signing a paper, pledging, doing a research experiment, studying, practicing spiritual exercises of yoga, mantra japa, meditation, yagya, etc. should begin when the Chandra swar is active. A creative, calm and thoughtful state of the mind associated with supportive endocrine activity implies upward flow of prana from the corresponding extrasensory chakras. Harmonious breathing through the left nostril in this case also indicates that the brain and the molecular, cellular components and organs of the body are receiving adequate amounts of the subtle currents of vital energy. That is why the Chandra swar is referred as auspicious for the above kinds of constructive, beneficial, far-sighted and intellectual actions. Breathing through the right nostril is desired in violent, invigorating, aggressive, strong activities. Fighting in a battlefield, struggling against a barrier, forceful debating or arguing on a hot topic, killing, hunting, sexual coupling, practicing a tantra, hard labors like breaking a stone, pulling an iron cable, cutting wood or diamonds, chiseling a pearl, rigorous physical exercises, etc. are most successful if performed in a state when the Surya swar is on. The intense, rapid, energizing flow of prana associated with this swar is essential for awakening of zealous empowerment and excitation of the mental and bodily faculties. The moments when both the swaras are on, that is, when the prana flows through the Sushumna Nadi, are of great importance for spiritual endeavors. This duration is referred as Sandhikal, a junction. For example, evening is the Sandhikal between a day and night. Similarly, the phase of about early hours of morning till the dawn of the new day is the Sandhikal between a night and the next day. The scriptures guide us to do prayers, worship, and other devotional practices in these time intervals. Eating, sleeping, or any worldly activity in these hours is harmful for our physical and mental fitness. The same is true of the Sandhikal of the swaras. The equilibrium state of swaras when the prana flows through the Sushumna is like a blessed opportunity for the individual self to leap forward in spiritual elevation. These are the moments when all vices, illusions, attachments and ego are naturally pacified and the divine inspirations and enlightened thoughts are awakened. Any spiritual determination, saintly thought or feeling occurred in these rare moments is inspired by the soul and therefore proves to be absolute. It is said that blessings and curses uttered in these moments surely materialize. The sadhanas of Swar Yoga aim at timely recognition and cautious use of this beatifying phase for divine enlightenment and spiritual ascent. The rishis had discovered that the microcosm is a miniature of the macrocosm, yatha brahmande tatha pinde. The functions at the gross physico-chemical as well as atomic and subtler levels in the human body also follow the laws of nature, likewise those followed at the cosmic level, for example in the planetary motion. The auto-regulated cyclic variation of the swaras is as natural as the dawn of the day after the night, shift of the sun from Uttarayan, winter solstice, to Dakshinayana, summer solstice, and consequent changes in the seasons from winter to summer, etc. However, as the sublime force of omnipresent consciousness is also present in the individual self, it could be used by accomplished yogis in what appear as supernatural effects at the level of the microcosm. Indeed, they do so within the order of the universal laws of nature, by controlling things at the level of the energy body which manifests in the gross, physical, body. It is not possible to explain the intricacies of advanced sadhanas of Swar Yoga in an elementary book. Nevertheless, we shall discuss some of the yoga practices of changing the pattern of swaras that are rather simple, like the pranayam.
Chapter 3. Some scriptural guidelines on auspicious use of Swar Yoga.
Perhaps no other branch of Vedic knowledge has been adulterated by the fake practitioners and hence scorned by the rational thinkers so badly as astrology is. Ample examples are available in the medieval history of India of extremes of blind faith and misuse of astrology. It is said that when the invaders attacked to rob the grand golden temple of Somnath in Gujarat, the then king's army remained a silent observer, as the royal astrologer had advised the king that this is a bad time for him to use the army. It was easy for the enemy to buy the astrologers of the kings those days and capture an Indian state without any battle. The trick was simple. The bribed astrologer would demoralize the king by giving a warning of a wrong time for war, or would send the king with his army, well in advance, to some other direction, under the pretext of it being most favorable to conquer new lands at that auspicious time. Selection of good muhurt for every non-routine task, including departure on a journey to the neighboring village, was given great importance those days. If a husband was seriously ill while his wife had gone to visit the parents, the latter won't go to see him until there is a muhurt for going to husband's home from the parents' house. What's more, even a Vaidya, doctor, would not observe a patient unless there is a right muhurt to do so. Such insane practices had naturally dejected the later generations, and astrology was seen by the learned minds and scientific thinkers as nothing more than a superstition. As a result, the original science, the great mathematics of this ancient discipline of planetary movements and geomagnetic effects got lost in the smog of misinterpretations and negligence. We are not arguing here anything in favor or against astrology. Our purpose here is to convey some scriptural guidelines on how to use swar yoga for forecasting or decision making. One may reinvestigate these by self-experiment. In the practices of swar yoga, there is no scope for preventing or demoralizing someone from prompt transaction of his duties. For example, look at the following shlokas from the scripture, Shiva Swarodaya, which clearly convey that every moment of life is important and one should make constructive use of it. There is no negation or constraint on doing something without caring for the swar patterns, only the suitability of the latter for auspicious benefits is guided. It is up to us whether we adopt these in practice or not, but one thing we must learn is that we should be introvert and alert while commencing any important task and should analyze our bodily and mental state to put in our efforts and employ our potentials in the best possible way. Kuyogo nasti devi, bhavta va kadhakna, prapte swar bale suddhe sarvameva subham phalam. Meaning, Shiva explains to his wife and disciple, Parvati, O Parvati. There is no chance of anything negative or unauspicious in the practice of swar yoga, because if one purifies and harmonizes the swaras, every action becomes auspicious. Vamma va dakshinam vapi yatra sankriyate siva, katva tatpadmado ka yatra bhavati siddhida. Meaning, while commencing a journey, the foot, right or left, which corresponds to the swar being active at that time, should be used in the first step. This gives good support to the success of the journey. Kendra sampada karyo ravistu visama sada, pirna padam purisektya yatra bhavati siddhida. Meaning, if the Chandra swar is on, then use the left leg first in the second, fourth, sixth, successive steps ahead. If the Surya swar is on, then put the right leg ahead in first, third, fifth, successive steps. Kendra bare ketspadam pancha padastu bhaskar, evam ca gamana shreshtam sadhayat bhuvanatring. Meaning, when Chandra swar is on, then knock the ground 4 times by the left leg, and do it 5 times by the right leg if the Surya swar is on. Going out of the house, this way brings fulfilling success in the venture for which the departure is made. Para datte thata grahaye grahan nirgamanyapaka, tarange behte nari prayam tena karangrind, nahani kalaho nava kantikarnapi bhiryate, nivarvate sukhi keva sarvopadrivavarjita. Meaning, while giving something to someone or taking something from someone, or while going out, first use or put ahead the pair of that hand and leg on the side of which the swar is active. Yatrange bahate vayustadangasya karastalam, suptatitho mukhamti pastva labhate vanchitam phalam. Meaning, while getting up from the bed, touch the face by the palm of the hand, which is on the side of the active swar. This brings good effects during the day. The scripture also gives several other guidelines on movements of the body as to what is auspicious and what is not for specific purposes. However, it should be kept in mind here that the words auspicious and non-auspicious or equivalent correspond simply to something like green or red signals of traffic. In case one's swar is not in the optimal form or one is not able to follow the associated movements prescribed as good for success, etc., in certain venture, there is no need to panic. The swaras do not cause any harm or benefit. These simply indicate whether the condition of your mind-body system is best suited or not at that particular instance. Specific movements help harmonizing the flow of vital energy and hence strengthening this supportive condition further. Most importantly, in the attempts of following these guidelines, we become more balanced in our movements and our otherwise agile mind stops wandering outside. Then it becomes easy to concentrate upon the desired thought or action. Another psychological benefit is that, with an assurance of a suitable swar and movement, our self-confidence and interest in the task get boosted up, which has remarkable positive impact upon what we do. Success depends a lot upon how we make use of our potential. The elevated confidence and enthusiasm provide excellent support in this regard. Some researchers have found that practice of acting as per the guidelines of swar vigyan works wonderfully. The Western psychology cites auto-suggestion as the only means of boosting one's morale. But it is only theory. Attempting to train the mind simply by uttering, "I am powerful, I can win," etc., is like teaching someone arithmetic by simply asking him to repeat the formula of basic operations. Human mind is like a naughty child. It doesn't learn anything without being given practical training in an interesting way. The practices of swar yoga serve this purpose to a great extent in a natural way, which the researchers find more effective and certain than any trick of modern psychology. The modern and ancient science of mind, supported by evidential examples in human history, affirms that optimistic attitude, self-confidence, and positive approach hold the key to success. In this respect as well, what the ancient scholars say, in the rhetoric style of poesy, about swar yoga appears justified. Sarva Sastra Purandi Smrati Vedanga Purvakam, Swar Gyanat Param Tattvam Nasti Kinsidvaranane, meaning, no scripture, Shastra, Purana, etc., is greater than the knowledge of swar vigyan. Because grasping the knowledge of these scriptures also becomes possible only by the power of swar, that is by the currents of prana, Guhyad Guyataram Saramupakara Prakashkam, Idam Swaro Dayam Gyanam Jidnanam Mastake Mani, meaning, the knowledge of swar is secret of all secrets. It is hidden like a mystery. But it brings to light all other knowledge. It is therefore a super knowledge. Sukasmat Masikasmataram Gyanam Subodham Satyapatyayam, Askarya Nastike Lokay Adharastvastike Jane, meaning, the science of swar is subtler than subtle. It must be understood, as helps knowing the truth, real knowledge. It intrigues the quest of the non-believer and is a great support for the believers. The above excerpts and the implications of the scholarly analysis of the same give us a glimpse of the fact that the science of swar yoga encompasses an excellent combination of subtle facets of psychology, physiology, astronomy and physics. It should be reinvestigated with an open mind in the light of scrupulous citations of the scriptures and experiences of the authentic yogis and disseminated for happy, healthy and successful life.
Chapter 4 Harmonizing the Swaras.
The experts of swar yoga have guided several easy modes of benefiting from the scriptural knowledge. For example, if the Chandra swar is active, then knock the ground 4 times by the left leg before going out. Similarly, if Surya swar is active, then know the ground 5 times by the right leg. Touch your face by the palm of the hand of that side where the swar is on, and put that leg first. If you are to meet a short-tempered person, then first use the leg on the side opposite to that of the active swar. While talking to such a person, sit in a position so that the left side of your face is towards him if you're Surya swar. This way the side of inactive swar will absorb the heat of his fury and calm it to a great extent. As stated earlier, the Chandra swar is most favorable for the tasks requiring peace of mind, scrupulous and intellectual approach, etc. It is best to initiate discussions with a guru, officer or other important persons when this swar is active. The Surya swar is most suited for certain other kinds of activities described above. Many a times we are to do something while the swar is running in the opposite direction. What should be done then? Should we miss the opportunity by waiting for the swar to change to the favorable state? Certainly not. This would be unwise on our part to waste time and lose the chance. Sometimes we need to work late in the night, which usually happens to be our sleeping time. Then we try to control our drowsiness by washing our face with cold water or drinking tea, coffee, etc. Similarly, if we want to benefit from the knowledge of swar vigyan, we can try one of the following easy practices guided by the researchers of this science to alter or harmonize the swar pattern as per our requirement. 1. Block the nostril at which the swar is off. This could be done by pressing it by a thumb. Now, take a deep breath through the nostril where the swar is on. Then open the pressed nostril and exhale, breathe out, through this while blocking the nostril that was used for inward respiration. Repeating this cycle several times in succession would alter the direction of flow of the swar, that is, you will start breathing through the nostril, which was blocked earlier. 2. Lie down on the side of the active swar. The direction of swar will shift to the other nostril after some time. Practicing the breathing exercise described as above along with following renders faster result. 3. Press something hard beneath the armpit on the side of the active side. Doing so would make rapid change in the swar pattern. 4. Eating ghee is supposed to be favorable for the left, Chandra swar, and eating honey for the right, Surya swar. 5. Keep a smooth clean cotton ball in the nostril of the active swar to make it flow to the other nostril. It indicates some health problems if the natural patterns are not in the order associated with normal mind-body system. For example, if the types of swaras deviate from the original value for that lunar day. The above methods could be tried to set them in order. However, if these continue to deviate from the characteristic healthy patterns, you must get a medical checkup done and take appropriate treatment. As vital force is the source of stamina and resistance against diseases, the following pranayamas are advised to control the swaras and hence the flow of prana to regain and maintain health and vigor. These should be practiced empty stomach or at least 3 hours after eating. The best time for the first 2 pranayamas is early morning. Pranayam for healthy regulation of swaras and vital energy. Pandit Bhojar Shukla has described this practice in his guidelines on pranayam. Sit in a asana, yoga posture, that comforts you with erect spinal cord. Remain straight, don't lean in any direction, left, right, forward or backward. Keep your chin on the chest and look at the tip of your nose. Block your right nostril by the thumb of right hand and fill your tummy by breathing in at a slow and steady pace through the left nostril. Then close your left nostril by the ring finger and the fourth finger of the right hand. Do a mental japa of Om during this state, called Antah Kumbhak, of retained breath. Stay in this state for few seconds. Then breathe out at the same pace through the right nostril. The left nostril will remain closed this time. After breathing out, close the right nostril again and don't breathe for few moments. This state is called Bahya Kumbhak. The silent japa of Om should continue throughout this practice. Now open both the nostrils and take a normal deep breath. This completes one pranayam. Repeat this 3 times. This pranayam should also be repeated with reverse cycle of breathing, that is breathing through the right nostril, the exhaling through the left. Continue the daily practice with a gradual increase in the durations of kumbhakas and corresponding augmentation of your capacity to retain the breath in and out. For example, initially you may do the japa of Om for 10 times, then go up to 20 times after a fortnight, 30 times after a month, and so on till you can without any difficulty. Pranayam for maintaining vigor. Sri Sahodar Saraswati has guided this pranayam for protection, preservation and augmentation of vigor. You can practice it by carefully following each step stated here. Sit in a asana in which the heel of your left leg would lie in the portion between the anus and the genital organ. The heel of the right leg should touch the portion where the root of the urinary tract is located. Initially you may find it difficult to sit in this posture. You may use a tiny pillow near the tummy to get extra support. The posture is exact when the wrists of both the legs meet each other. Pressure of the heels should be applied gently but constantly at the places they touch. It is advised to take practical demonstration from an authentic yoga school to perfect this asana. Now observe through nostril, are you breathing? Close the other nostril, at which the swar is off, by pressing it by the thumb of corresponding hand. Breathe in slowly through the nostril where the swar is active. Contract your anus region by pulling it up during this process. Although it will be difficult, you have to do it carefully. Keep it this way till the end of the process. This mulabandha is essential for preventing downward flow of vital energy. After breathing in, close both the nostrils and stretch and contract the tummy outward and inward, as if the inhaled air is being pumped in the abdomen and lower region. Do it till you can hold the breath. First stop the pumping of the tummy, then breathe out slowly only through the nostril which was closed first. Now you may open the mulabandha. This completes one pranayam. Do 3 rounds of this pranayam in one sitting every day. After about a month or so the number may be increased to 5. It is very useful in curing the problems of white discharge, leukorrhea, and several kinds of sexual disorders that drain out one's vital energy. This yoga sadhana is accomplished when one easily completes 10 to 15 rounds in one sitting with perfection. Such a yogi controls his vital energy and can make use of it for extraordinary purposes. Sitakari Kumbhaka. This practice is very simple. It is beneficial in purifying the blood, controlling excessive heat within the body and curing certain diseases of stomach and colon. This should be practiced in the morning, evening or night. It can be practiced in any posture while sitting or standing, but the spinal cord should be in its natural straight position. For this you spread the lips outward, folded like the bill of a cork. Now breathe in, close the mouth and take the air inside via throat as though you are gulping it. Breathe out through both the nostrils after few seconds. 5 to 7 repetitions of this at a time are sufficient every day. As you suck the air through mouth, take care that this exercise is being practiced at a clean place and in fresh air. Sitala Kumbhak. Sit in a cross-legged posture, preferably in Padmasana, with erect spinal cord at a clean, pollution-free place having substantial supply of fresh air. Keep the upper layer of teeth on the lower one and let lips be spread open. Now suck the air through the mouth. It will blow between the teeth like a whistle. Close the mouth and breathe out through both the nostrils after few seconds. This exercise also renders cooling effect and is useful for purifying the blood. It should be practiced thrice a day but for not more than 10 minutes at a stretch. Even if there is no visible health problem or important task ahead, one should pay attention to the swaras and maintain the natural harmony of vital flows. It brings extra benefits of mental fitness and acumen. As quoted in Shiva Swarodaya, Chandra Surya Sambhyasma ye kurvanti sadanara, atitnagta jnanam tezam hastgatam bhavet. Meaning, one who always practices to maintain the Chandra and Surya swaras in soothing states can attain the potential to grasp hidden knowledge, to decipher the secrets, see the past and the future, etc.
Chapter 5 Long and Vigorous Life by Swar Yoga.
Controlled and adequate breathing is an essential part of Swar Yoga. It is advised here that the pace of our inhalation and exhalation should be consistent in every breath. There should also be a pause of few moments between the successive breaths. The depth of a normal healthy breath is about 14 to 18 centimeter. That means when we exhale or breathe out, it should go out up to this distance. For example, if a piece of cotton attached from one side on a stick is kept about 14 to 18 centimeter away straight in the direction of nose, its tiny fibers would quiver when we breathe out. A somewhat shorter length of breathing out is fine, but longer one is not good as it amounts to slow breathing and over exhalation, which amounts to reduced supply of oxygen for consumption in the body. When we sleep, this length increases up to 35 to 45 centimeter. That is why extra sleep makes one lethargic. A good sleep of 6 to 7 hours per day is good enough for an adult in general. While we take meal, our exhaled breath in normal case prolongs up to 25 to 30 centimeter. Therefore, eating frequently is also not good. Very long distance of exhaled breath is indicative of a diseased state. For instance, in acute state of tuberculosis, it usually extends up to 85 to 100 centimeter. Much longer, and hence slower and meeker, exhaled breath is alarming. The longer it becomes, the closer one gets to death. Artificial breathing or external supply of oxygen is essential in such cases. A fast pace of breathing means short depth of inhaled oxygen. It is also risky. It would be like panting, which overburdens the respiratory system and the heart. It also signals malfunctioning of the latter and gives rise to restlessness and fatigue. The swar vigyan also emphasizes a great deal on the depth of inhaled and exhaled breath. As stated above, the normal healthy limits of the breath exhaled is around 14 to 18 centimeters. But what we inhale is always shorter than this by 2 to 4 centimeters. This is a marvelous operation of the self-organized system of nature to control the lifespan. It clearly demonstrates what fraction of vital power we intake is lesser than what we throw out. This is how with every breath our lifespan reduces a bit. The cycle continues till our stock is over. Then it is death. Thus, it is clear that living a complete span of life largely depends upon the breathing pattern. Each one of us is born here with his or her allocated stock of breaths. So naturally the duration of active life would be lesser if we drain out this precious stock rapidly. This is to convey that adequate breathing at appropriate pace with due care is essential for a full, healthy and long life. On an average, an adult human being breathes about 21,600 times per day. If one breathes deeply to consume adequate amount of oxygen at a consistent pace at a slower than average rate, he or she would enjoy a longer and healthier lifespan in normal case. It is true of the other creatures as well. Look at the respiration rates and the full span of life of the animals. For example, as below, those breathing at slower pace live longer. Given all other suitable natural conditions, rabbit lives about 8 years with respiration rate of 38 times per minute. Monkey lifespan is about 10 years while breaths at 32 times a minute. Dog lives for about 12 years with respiration rate of 26 times a minute. Horse lives about 25 years with respiration rate of 16 times per minute. Human lifespan is about 120 years while breathing 13 times a minute. Snakes lives for about 1000 years with respiration rate of just 8 times a minute. Tortoise, with one of the slowest respiration rate of 5 times a minute, goes on to live even 2000 years. Our average respiratory rate during the routine chores or average task is about 12 or so per minute. While rushing to something in haste or during hectic tasks, it usually rises up to 18 times per minute. This rise is higher in the states of excitation. For example, it goes up to 38 per minute while one is engaged in sexual activities. That is why sensuous, lusty people often lack vital energy and can't sustain their full life without ailment. Overexcitation is bad for health. That does not mean that sitting idle would increase one's life. In fact, lethargy also upsets the normal circulation of oxygen, fresh blood and related energy-inducing reactions in the body. As a result, the components of the mind-body system weaken and consume more of vital energy. This amounts to requirement of faster breathing or shortage of vital energy and thus reducing the vigor and span of life. So a balance between physical exercise, other physical and mental activities and rest is necessary together with a controlled and adept breathing pattern. The oldest lived stout person in Beijing was aged around 150 years. When asked about the secret of his longevity, he stated 3 points. 1. Never leave my breath halfway. Breathe deeply up to the navel. 2. I never sit in a bend of leaned position. Keep my spinal cord straight. 3. I don't let any exciting or dirty thought enter my mind. Indeed, these are the 3 main principles of swar yoga. Taking a deep breath up to the navel naturally harmonizes the respiratory rate and the breathing pattern. Most of the vital fluids flow via the spinal cord. Its erect position is therefore necessary for channelizing the currents of prana through the sushumna nadi to enable sustenance of physical, mental and spiritual well-being. If the spinal cord is bent or leaned, The passage of vital energy via the Sushumna will be disrupted, which in turn will hamper the nourishing of the brain and the endocrine and mental system. Erotic or vicious thoughts, jealousy, anger, excessive agony, depression, etc. perturb the healthy breathing and hence the harmonious swar patterns, which also results in inadequate supply of prana together with negative sublime impact on the unconscious mind. Avoidance of these untoward thoughts and substituting them by positive thoughts and creativity is therefore among the essential disciplines of swar yoga. As the root of most diseases lies in lack of our vitality, resistance and immunity, the role of vital energy and therefore of swar yoga is imminent for sustaining healthy and hearty life. Devout practices of swar yoga enable one to hold the breath for exceptionally long time. One can also attain longevity and extraordinary vigor by reducing the length of the exhaled breath. Some scriptural guidelines indicate how the successive reduction corresponds to attainment of more and more supernatural potentials. If by specific sadhanas of swar yoga one is able to reduce the normal length of 14 to 18 centimeters outgoing breath to 12 to 16 centimeters, the flow of his or her prana will be stabilized and controlled. One would feel exceptionally energetic. Consistent reduction in the outflow of normal breath up to say about 11 to 12 centimeter induces unalloyed bliss. 10 to 11 centimeter would correspond to awakening of exceptional literary or scholarly talents. 9 to 10 centimeter will awaken supramental abilities of speech and hearing. 8 to 9 centimeters to clairvoyance. Its reduction up to 7 centimeter indicates activation of supernatural force of prana. Up to 6 centimeter accounts for attainment of the ability to fly in the sky. One would be an absolutely accomplished yogi if his or her normal outgoing breath is reduced to 5 centimeter, implies attainment of all the nav siddhis, the 9 divine potentials. 2 to 2.5 centimeter indicates ability to appear in multiple forms. When it is reduced to around 1.2 centimeter, she would have acquired the supernatural potential of disappearing any moment from anywhere. Such a yogi conquers over death if this measure of outflow of his or her prana remains only about the tip of a nail or less.
Chapter 6 Risks and Benefits of Deviations in Natural Swaras.
As studied in Section 2, indications about the natural pattern of swar around the sunrise time that are expected in healthy person. These, likewise some other patterns during specific phase of the day, at specific place etc., were computed by the ancient yogis of this science considering the interrelationship between geomagnetism and planetary, in our solar system, motion and their impact on human body and mind. It is not only for the specific days of the lunar month, rather distinct patterns of swaras are predominant on specific days as well. For example, Chandra swar is supposed to be good on Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays. It is more auspicious on these days, especially in the brighter half of the lunar month. Activity of Surya swar is a good sign on Tuesdays, Saturdays and Sunday. Early morning flow of Surya swar on Sunday, the day of Surya, Sun, and Chandra swar on Monday, the day of Chandra, Moon, is auspicious. Depending upon their orbital position and the position and motion of the Earth, the electromagnetic radiation from different planets fall on the latter in different forms and intensities. As we know, apart from rotating on its own axis, our Earth also revolves around the Sun. In this cosmic journey, specific kinds of energy radiations from certain planets fall on it only during certain periods, for example, specific days of week, month or year. Otherwise these remain beyond the reach or are blocked by the relative positions of certain other planets, etc. The days of a week are named in the Indian system according to which planet's effect is dominating in that phase of the Earth's position in the solar system. The Indian calendar, Panchang, and dates of various religious festivals, etc., were also derived by the ancient sages, keeping in mind these features and their impact on the geomagnetism and biomagnetism. The Ira and Pingala nadis are most sensitive to attain the positive and negative electrical or magnetic currents respectively during the darker and brighter halves of the lunar month. Apart from these, the relative effects of the radiations from other planets also influence the swaras. This sensitivity of nadis is found to be maximum in the early hours around sunrise. The planets having affinity, synchronous electromagnetic waves, with the sun support activation of the Surya swar in Pingala, and those in harmony with the moon activate the Chandra swar in Ira. The words good and auspicious used here correspond to the adept state of the mind-body system. If the latter were in perfect health, it would respond to the planetary, geomagnetic effects as per what is identified as the natural effect on swar patterns. Otherwise, in a weak, dull or diseased state, its response and hence the active states of swaras would be arbitrary or contrary. It will require several scientific research treatises to discuss this subject from the point of view of astronomy, physics and physiology. As stated earlier, the objective of this book is to acquaint the reader with the basics with a focus on how to benefit from the findings of the ancient sages of Swar Vigyan and the guidelines derived thereby. Deviation in the swar pattern from what is characterized as natural for a healthy body and mind indicates several possibilities of diseases and disorders of varied severity. Some common features are discussed below along with the cases where certain kinds of deviations could work like blessing in disguise for some desired effects. Looking at the rising moon on the second day of brighter half of lunar month with active Chandra swar is supposed to be very good. If someday, the Surya swar is on at the time of sunrise and Chandra swar is on at the time of moonrise, then every important work done on that day would be successful. But contrary would be the effect if the sun rises when Chandra swar is active and sets when Surya swar is active. No work done on that day will be fine or successful. If the Surya swar is on in the morning, sometime after the sunrise, of the first day of the brighter half of lunar month, then there will be a possibility of some quarrel, loss or some health hazard due to excess heat in the body. If the Chandra swar is on in the morning, sometime after the sunrise, of the first day of the darker half of lunar month, then there is a likelihood of catching cold or related problems. If both the swaras go contrary to what is explained in the section 2 for several days, the problems might go severe. If the contrary pattern of swaras, in the morning of the first day of each fortnight, continues for 2 more months, there will be an acute health hazard and some serious problem. As mentioned earlier, on an average the activities of swaras reverse almost after every 1 to 2 hours. However, if the same swar continues for a long stretch, this abnormality mostly corresponds to adversities in near future. If the left, Chandra, swar is on continuously for 12 hours, there will be increase in the risk from enemies, obstructive, negative forces. If it continues for 17 hours, there will soon be an outbreak of some disease. Continuation for 1 to 3 days ascertains that the person will fall sick. Its continuation for 5 days implies destruction of industry or factory, self-profession. If only this swar remains on almost all the time during a year, it is a sign of ruining of one's wealth and property in near future. Nevertheless, the prolongation of the Chandra swar also brings some intermediate benefits or favorable coincidences. An unexpected gain is likely if the swar continues for 4 hours. Its continuation for 8 hours indicates possibility of joy. 14 hours continuity implies benefit in love or friendship. If it remains on for 48 hours at a stretch, there are chances of success and honor. Its continuation day and night for 4, 8, 12 or 20 days signals the benefits of longer life and enhanced prosperity. If the right, Surya, swar is active for 4 hours in succession without change, then there will be some material loss. For 21 hours then separation from a friend, and if 24 hours then reduction in lifespan. Because of its cooling or calming nature, the Chandra swar brings some intermediate benefits or relief, but it is not so with the Surya swar. Its excess heat augments the severity of its negative effects with its continuity, as the latter amounts to evaporation of vital elements. Its further prolongation shatters the healthy system of the mind and body and almost brings one nearer to death. Scriptural interpretations show that continuity of this swar for 8 hours may result in an acute health problem that might even take away one's life in 3 years. This call of death will be 2 years if the continuity is for 16 hours. Death may knock simply after a year if this swar prolongs at a stretch for 3 days and night. Still longer prolongation is almost like counting the days of life. If this swar is active day and night for more than a month, the person will die in 3 months. In this context, the readers may also learn how the expert yogis of Swar Vigyan can predict exact timings of one's death. The life force of prana and hence many of the mental and sensory faculties decay sharply as one reaches near death. Some illusions and abnormal sensations are quite common in this state. Scriptural descriptions and evidential examples collected by scholars of later times cite specific examples in this regard. For example, someone who is likely to die soon would often have following illusory experiences. 1. The right hand appears exceptionally thin if its folded fist is kept on the forehead straight in the line of the nose, and the eyes are focused at the elbow of this hand. If in this case, the wrist becomes almost invisible or appears broken, death is most likely to occur in about 6 months. 2. The flickering bright spots, usually experienced while closing an eye and pressing its upper corner by a finger, are no longer seen. 3. Chest, legs and cheeks dry up first after bathing. 4. The flame of a lamp appears golden bright sometimes but dark black some other times. 5. Only head is visible while this person watches his image in oil or water. 6. Sudden swelling of the body or gain or loss in body weight. 7. The usual shrill humming noise, experienced while closing and pressing the ears by hands, is no longer heard. 8. Not able to see the eyebrows in the image of the face. 9. The sharp smell usually spread after extinguishing a castor or mustard oil lamp is no longer sensed. 10. Hiccups during or after a sexual conjugation. While watching the image of the sun in a bronze dish full of water, if the image appears cut or broken in the southern direction, then, the observers, death is likely within 6 months, western direction then within 3 months, eastern direction then within 1 month. The person may die within 10 days if several holes are seen in this image, and he would leave the world any time within 2 to 3 days if this image appears blocked by dark fumes. The readers should note that the period of occurrence of death mentioned here is only a qualitative indicator of the severity of the loss of vital strength and life force, which may not sometimes be felt at the level of physical body. It is not some kind of measure or indicator like the scale of a barometer or thermometer. Rather, it is like an alarm that would warn the concerned person or his near and dear ones to take proper medical treatment and care to improve his/her health.